Imagine a world where paper was fragile, gold was scarce, and trust was the most valuable currency of all. A world without banks, without credit, without a single institution, daring enough to promise stability in a sea of uncertainty. And yet, from this chaos, a quiet revolution began, one that would ripple across centuries, shaping empires, economies, and the very notion of wealth itself. This is the story of that revolution. In the early 17th century, Europe was a continent brimming with ambition and tension. Nations vied for trade, merchants crisscrossed seas in wooden ships, and yet the world's financial arteries were clogged. Money, the lifeblood of commerce, was confined to coin and barter. Every transaction was a risk weighed in sweat and gold dust. It was a time when one misstep, a lost shipment, a failed harvest could ruin a family, a city, or even a fledgling nation. Imagine trying to build a business when you had to physically carry sacks of gold across pirate-infested waters or bandit roads. The sheer danger and inconvenience choked economic growth. Amidst this uncertainty, a small group of visionaries in a bustling port city dared to imagine something radical. They envisioned a place where trust could be formalized, where gold could be stored safely, and where merchants and monarchs alike could borrow, lend, and invest without fear. This idea gave birth to what historians now consider the first true modern bank, the Amsterdam Wisselbank, founded in 1609. At first glance, it seemed unremarkable. A building, ledgers stacked high, coins clinking in vaults. But within its walls, a revolution was quietly taking shape. Merchants no longer had to carry heavy chests of gold on perilous journeys. Instead, they could deposit their coins and receive a paper credit, a universally trusted receipt that could be used for trade. This was a monumental leap. States could fund wars without crippling their treasuries, and the very concept of credit money that could be borrowed and repaid, money that could grow through interest, took roots in the human imagination. But what made this bank extraordinary was not just its function, it was its audacity. It promised something intangible yet invaluable: security. People flocked to it, entrusting their fortunes to its ledgers. As deposits grew, so did the bank's influence, shaping trade routes, stabilizing economies, and even altering the balance of political power. In a world ruled by kings and swords, the Wisselbank wielded something far subtler but infinitely more powerful: financial trust. The ripple effects were immediate and profound. Merchants could now speculate with confidence, investing in ventures that would have been unthinkable before. Amsterdam became the undisputed hub of global commerce, its streets humming with wealth and ambition. Other nations took notice, scrambling to replicate its success. London, Paris, and eventually the United States would follow, each learning, each failing, each innovating in the shadow of that first audacious experiment. Yet, for all its promise, the rise of banking was not without tension. Power struggles simmered behind closed doors. The old question arose: who controls the money? Because whoever controls the money controls the destiny of nations. Wealth accumulated in vaults, while poverty often persisted in the streets. And when crises struck, failed crops, wars, inflation, the human psyche was laid bare. Fear, greed, hope, and ambition collided in ways that would define centuries of financial history. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this story is the paradox it reveals about human nature. The very tools designed to create stability could also generate chaos. Banks could lend too freely, creating bubbles. Markets could speculate recklessly, leading to crashes. And nations could plunge into debt that seemed unending. Sound familiar? Yet, without this leap of faith, the modern world as we know it, its vast trade networks, its industrial revolutions, its global finance might never have existed. By the 18th century, the model had evolved. The Bank of England, founded in 1694, took the lessons from Amsterdam and amplified them, intertwining finance with statecraft in ways that would influence global policy for centuries. Empires expanded not just through conquest, but through credit and investment. The Industrial Revolution, the age of railways, the rise of stock markets all were legacies of this financial audacity. It was the quiet engine running behind the great historical events we all learn about. Even today, the echoes of that first bank in Amsterdam resonate in ways most of us never realize. When we swipe a card, take out a loan, or invest in a mutual fund, we are participating in a centuries-long experiment in trust and human psychology. Every financial decision we make, every risk we take, is built upon the lessons learned in those early vaults lessons, written in gold and paper and ambition and fear, in the quiet audacity of people who dared to imagine a new world. History, in this sense, is not just a story of dates and events. It's a story of human courage and ingenuity, of societies willing to gamble on the intangible, the forgotten economies of the past. The banks, the credit networks, the trade experiments were the invisible architects of the modern world. They remind us that profound change often comes not from the loud proclamations of power, but from quiet innovation, from trust built carefully over time, and from ideas that challenge the very foundations of what people believe is possible. So next time you think about money, credit, or finance, remember this: the systems we take for granted were once radical, mysterious, and revolutionary. They were born in the minds of visionaries who understood the paradox of risk and reward, who knew that to change the world, you first had to change the way people thought about wealth itself. In the shadows of history, in ledgers and vaults long forgotten, lie the stories of economies that dared to dream and, in doing so, changed the course of humanity forever. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next dive into the hidden histories that shaped our world. See you next time.